Hi y'all, welcome back. Today I am going to be feeding my sourdough starter. I actually just switched out his container, and this is my sourdough discard right here, which we're going to be using to make a pancake bake. So I'm going to be doing that next. I'm going to feed him, so I had to take out most of it, put it in here for my discard. Normally this discard is just that, it's discarded. It doesn't get used. I have found a use for it. I use it in a lot of my recipes. Like I said, this morning we're going to be making pancake bake, or sourdough discard pancake bake. So, but this is what I have left in here. He's got 70 grams, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and zero it out now. I've already zeroed it out and taken off the weight on the jar, which I have marked this jar just like this is 635 grams. But I've already zeroed it out, and this is what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put, oops, let me zero it out again, 70 grams of my flour. And yeah, I normally make a mess. I'm gonna go ahead and give 70 grams, and this is just all, and I went a little over 79, that's fine. So I'll just go ahead and put about 80 of the water, and this is warm filtered water, and I'm gonna zero it out again. And I went over it, it's perfectly okay. This does not have to be exact, but I'm gonna go ahead and put 79 or 80 of water, or at least that's what I'm going for. So I zeroed it out again, and so I've got 83. Then I'm gonna, all my measurements are done, so I no longer need the scale. Put that out of the way, turn it off, I'll have to clean it. And then I just wanna mix this up really good. Just wanna get it nice and mixed. We did name him Patrick because I started him on St. Patrick's Day in 2020. It is 2023 now. Next month he will be 3.5 years old. So he's managed to stay alive this long, which is great. So because I'm going to use the discard, I'm not going to be making bread, so I'm not going to be using this, so this is just feeding him. I'm going to go ahead and leave him out on the counter. I just want to make sure I have it all mixed in. I don't want any lumps of flour in there. But I'm going to go ahead and leave him on the counter for about 2 hours or so till he starts bubbling a little. Sometimes it depends on the temperature in the house. Sometimes it's a little bit longer, sometimes it's a little bit less. Now if I was going to bake bread with him, I would have to leave him out for about 6 to 8 hours till it doubles. So he's down here, I would want him to be way up here, that way he's good and active and he will give my bread a good rise. But I'm not making bread today, so I am just gonna leave him on the counter for about 2 to 3 hours till he starts bubbling a little, and then I'm going to put him away in the refrigerator, and then I won't feed him again for about a week or so. So this is it. I've got an alarm set on my phone weekly, just in case I've not used them that week. The alarm reminds me that I need to feed him, because if I don't set that alarm, I will forget. And I will tell you, even with the alarm, I have forgotten on several occasions, and he's gone 2 or 3 weeks without being fed, and he has still managed to survive. I think the older they are, the stronger they are. So I think because he is this old that when I do forget to feed him, he manages to survive till his next feeding. So that was it. It was that simple. It was that simple to feed him. Now my discard, my sourdough discard, we're going to go ahead and use that to make the pancake bake. Okay guys, so to start this, what we're going to need is a half a cup of my sourdough discard. Just go ahead and stir it so I'm getting all of it in there. All mixed up. Alright, so I'm going to take half a cup of that. And you could add more if you wanted to. I do half a cup. And then to this, I'm going to add 2 cups of water. I want to mix up my starter first to make sure it's not lumpy or anything. So what I do is I mix the water with it. Close this up. So I got 2 cups of water. Sometimes you have much thicker sourdough discard. I just fed and put it in here, so it was much thinner. As you can see, there's not much in there, much mixing to do. So to this, I am going to add 2.5 cups of flour. And then I'm going to mix this up really good. So we have a half a cup of sourdough discard, and you can use regular sourdough starter. I just like to find a use for my discard because I feel that it's wasteful, that every time I'm going to feed Patrick over there, that I'm going to have to get rid of half of it. You know, I just think that that's a waste. So I try to use and not be wasteful. So, but you can definitely use just regular sourdough starter for this instead of the discard. But I'm going to use the discard whenever I can. That way I don't have any waste. Now this right here, we just get it mixed in really well, because we are going to let this sit for 8 to 12 hours. You can let it go overnight, because what we want this to do is to ferment. This mixture is going to ferment as the hours go by. So that looks pretty good. So with this, I'm going to go ahead and find a lid to put on it, and we're going to go ahead and cover it and let it sit for 8 to 12 hours. You can let it sit overnight. And then when we come back, we're going to add some more ingredients. The fermentation process for this fermented goods are good for you, are good for your body, for your gut health. If you're not familiar with that, I would recommend that you look it up, that you do your research on that. But fermented goods are really good. So for this, because we're going to let it go for 8 to 12 hours, we're not going to be using the actual starter as a leavening agent. It's more for the fermentation of it. Because when we come back in about 8 to 12 hours, we're going to add other things. I'm going to go ahead and let you know what those things are now. So far we've got the starter in there. We had a half a cup of our sourdough discard in there. We had 2.5 cups of flour. I used all-purpose flour, and we had 2 cups of warm filtered water. We mixed that all up. This is what we have right here. That's what we got. And then when we come back, we are going to need a half a cup of oil. You can use butter or applesauce. Applesauce makes it a little bit healthier, less fat, less calories as well. Also, we're going to need 2 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla extract. That's optional. You can do without. I like it in there. 2 tablespoons of a sweetener. I use just regular sugar, but you can substitute that sweetener with whatever you'd like. A teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a teaspoon of baking soda. So those are the additional ingredients that are going to go in here. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and cover this. Let it sit for 8 to 12 hours, and then we will come back. Good morning, y'all. It has actually been, I did not come back at 8 to 12 hours. It has actually been 24 hours. It got late last night, so I went ahead and put my mixture into the refrigerator to slow down the fermentation process, and then I took it out about an hour ago just to try to let it come back down to room temperature. And as you can see, it's nice and thick. Look at that. It thickened up. It's fermented. I've already stirred it, so I stirred in the bubbles. When you get it in the morning, I apologize for that. I completely forgot that I was recording this, and I stirred it up, and then I remembered, so I stopped and got everything out. But when you get it out after the 8 to 12 hours, or if you leave it overnight, if it's going to be more than 8 to 12 hours, I would suggest that you put it in the refrigerator to slow down the fermentation process. Because if you let it ferment all that time at room temperature, it's gonna start to actually taste sour. I like the added flavor of the sourdough, but I don't like it extremely sour. So I'm not gonna let it go at room temperature for 24 hours. And this is what it looks like. So, it smells really good. So this is our ingredients. I have right here, let me go ahead and move this out of the way. Right here what I have is 2 fresh eggs. I'm just going to go ahead and mix that. Then I have my 2 tablespoons of oil. Remember, you can use applesauce, butter, you know, whatever oil you want. I normally use applesauce just to make it healthier, but I don't have any applesauce, so we're going with oil. Here I have my 2 tablespoons of sugar. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of our homemade vanilla extract. And this is a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking soda and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And to this, if I pour it in there, it's gonna stay lumpy. So what I like to do is I add a little bit of ACV. This is homemade apple cider vinegar. So I add a little bit of that to it. If I don't have ACV, I go ahead and just add a little bit of water, normally like a tablespoon or 2, just to get it to dissolve. You know, so I don't have any lumps, any dry lumps that don't get dissolved and get mixed in. So I like to get that good and mixed. And I'm going to go ahead and spray my casserole dish. Alright, so I've got that sprayed. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add this mix, because when I add this into it, it's gonna go ahead and come up, and so I want to make sure that I have this mixed in. And so that's good. And then we're gonna go ahead and put this in there. Make sure I incorporate it everywhere. And normally when I put the baking soda and baking powder mixture in there, it really bubbles up. Didn't this time. It normally just zooms right up. We'll go ahead and go with this. Slide this over here. We're going to pour it into our casserole dish. And so, guys, this is it. This right here is what it looks like before we stick it in the oven. So we're going to go ahead and take this, and I'm going to put it in the oven at 400 degrees for approximately 35 to 40 minutes. And then we will see you back. Alright guys, I let it bake at 400 degrees for 35 minutes. I just took it out. This is what it looks like. Sometimes it rises more than this. For some reason it didn't rise very much at all. I'll try to put in a picture so that you can see previous versions of it. But it just goes to show that, you know, things aren't always perfect. I've been making this for about 2.5, 3 years, and you know, sometimes it just comes out different. I'm sure it'll taste great, but it does look a bit different. So I just wanted to share that with you. I'm going to go ahead and let this sit for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut into it. Alright guys, well, it's been the 10 minutes. I went ahead and cut it, and this is what it looks like. Here's the inside, and look at that. It's just perfect. So to this, I'm going to go ahead and add some of my homemade, home-canned honeysuckle jelly. As you can see, it's from May of 2020. So it has been over 3 years. And And so yes, my honeysuckle jelly is over 3 years old. But look at it. I just spread it on there. It's beautiful. It smells great. Tastes delicious. Like I just made it. So that's some good preservation going on right there. And if you hear that noise in the background, I'm frying some eggs, and that's what's going to be for breakfast. I'm going to have my pancake bake with some honeysuckle jelly and some fried fresh eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick taste. I'm sure it's delicious. And it is. It's really good. I'm going to finish frying up my eggs and so that I can have breakfast. But it has been fun spending time with you. I hope that you have enjoyed this, that you learned something from it. If you have, please subscribe, please like. It'll help grow my channel. And I wish you a wonderful and blessed day. Till next time.